Can I return briefly to what you said about a sense of feeling less isolated, and the magazines sort of gave you that sense as somebody perhaps who, well, as you said, who'd grown up in a rural area. And was that sort of did it feel like an emotional connection almost to the magazine in that sense?
Yes, I suppose it did, really, in the sense that it you know, sort of when you are isolated and you're starting to have ideas and you think there's something out there, you know, and you're living in a very sort of small sort of world, it's very important, isn't it, that you're shown something, and it is very specifically about women, and it's, you know, sort of about sort of what's going on. You realise there's something to aspire to, isn't there, at that point in time in your life, yeah, which is important, isn't it?
I think another thing about the sorts of magazines, some of which we've been looking for, which somebody mentioned over there earlier, is that you were looking for the fun and the graphics and the innovative sort of way of presenting, which you weren't getting in the normal everyday sort of newspapers and magazines. And that was the attraction, I think. You know, the various cartoonists who came out and try and follow. You know.
It's interesting, isn't it, that one of the mainstream constructions of the women's movement is always about humorlessness.
Yes.
And sometimes when we've shown people the magazines, they've got a particular magazine and said, oh, it's not very funny, is it? But actually they're full of cartoons and just the way they're written, some of them, just really fun, laugh out loud, funny. And that's so the magazines are useful because they help to tell us a slightly different story or to correct that.
And cartoon, I mean, who was that? Lee's postcards with Cass Jade?
And Jackie Fleming as well.
Fleming. Yeah, you know.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I've still got the postcards which were, you know, humorous, and we used on covers of things. You know, we used to use that as a sort of.
There was also that brilliant no advertising hoardings, and there was women who were writing a very, very funny, very clever stuff.
If this card was a woman, she'd run you over.
Stuff like that. That was just brilliant, very funny.
Yeah,
very sharp stuff. Yeah,
and there was a lot of stuff going on at the Women's Centre, like particularly in the 80s. I've got a friend who talks, you know, and they used to have all sorts of Angie's sort of stuff, entertainments and, you know, funny, entertaining,
and
self-produced. That was, we had a women's street theatre in Nottingham that was, did some really good stuff.
Maybe this might be a good opportunity for you to just quickly tell us a little bit about your contemporary activism, what you're doing now in Nottingham in terms of building this archive of material that represents and records the women's movement.
Go on, Val. I'll talk about the Women's Centre, and somebody else could talk about it. We're running with two projects, aren't we?
I suppose so, yeah.
Go on then, Tina.
Okay, so maybe, I don't know, before lockdown, several years before lockdown, Val came up to me at some local history event and said something like, Chris Richardson says you were involved in the nurseries campaign in Nottingham, and I said, I don't think so. And then I went home and I got a picture on the wall of the nurseries campaign. So I said, oh yes, actually, turns out you were right. So I got stuff out of my attic, because I've always lived in the same house, and got, you know, I'm not very tidy, so there's loads of stuff around. And Val said the sort of classic phrase, I think we should do what Sheila Rowbotham did. She recorded suffragettes before they died. I think we need to talk to 70s activists. So I started calling this project Before They Die. Turns out several of the people in the original list, the people we wanted to do an oral history interview with, have died, and we didn't get them in time. And then when we started going around to people, that some people would say, oh, I had all that stuff, but then the cellar and the damp, but other people would say, oh, do you want this stuff? And just before lockdown, in fact, one of the people who had become involved, she, on her, like, an old airing cupboard where she'd got all her stuff, she stuck this poster up, and it said, to the start of lockdown, to my family, if I should die, the things in this cupboard are very important. Don't throw them away. Phone Val, Lee, or Tina within 3 minutes. And in there she had National Abortion Campaign in Nottingham and Women Against Pit Closures. You know, massive stuff. So then Nottingham University is hosting the Feminist Archive. So all of these things are now wrapped up in acid-proof paper and ribbons and in boxes and carefully stored. And we've kind of recovered a lot of history, that things I'd done that I'd forgotten I did, and things that other people have done.
Plus, of course, we've got the interviews.
And we've done oral history interviews, which have been mostly been transcribed. Val's writing a book.
A little book, I think.
Yeah, a small book.
What's your small book? Val?
No, it's just going to be a book about the beginnings of the women's liberation movement in Nottingham, which will be to correct what was put out sort of a few years ago, an incorrect sort of analysis, and to bring in some of this amazing new material that we've, some of the voices of the women.
Oh, there's going to be an exhibition at the university.
And an exhibition
Next year.
So it hasn't been without its trials and tribulations, of course, but we have given our stuff over to the university, and we wanted to have a little bit of independence, so we now called the Nottingham Feminist Archive Group, and there's a few more of us, NFAGs, and we meet regularly just to give ourselves, a little bit of independence, because we have donated and gifted that. And then we've been working in the Women's Centre here to put into order all their magazines, journals, newsletters, everything that they've had there.
That were all in the sun and...
Yeah, and they've all been boxed up to create an archive of magazines, journals, which they've always had, and to promote that really. So we did that during lockdown. We would be up in the attic of the Women's Centre doing that, which was quite nice, wasn't it?
In masks.
Yeah, but we've done that as well, and within there is a lot of duplicates which are looking for a new home.
I mean, it sounds just so brilliant what you're doing here, and I'm very kind of envious and feel like we should have something like that in Newcastle, but I'm not sure we're the people to do that. I think it needs to be activists who've been going in Newcastle for a while, and that we come in and support them rather than initiate it, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, we're very independent from, which is we wanted to retain a level of independence from the academic institutions here in Nottingham.
I think that's really important.
And some people are quite concerned, of course, about putting things into universities.
Absolutely.
And
so they should,
we've had expressed concern about, is that the right place for it to go?
It's
we've
very
had to
tricky.
debate that.
Yeah. But you want it to go somewhere though, don't you? And you want people to know that it's there, so that if they have things, they can take it to the archive.
And mostly, I mean, as a sideline, we've recently archived, there was an Asian activist man, but been a campaigning, done really important things all the way through, and his widow it was just a huge relief for her to have his heritage respected and carefully kept, because what was she going to do with it? It sort of people, like what my friend feared, that stuff would just get chucked away. That usually and often happens because people don't have the time or the interest and space. Yeah, we've been. I mean, recently, a couple of gay activists. Recently, we've had to clear their house out for one's died, one's gone into a home, and it's a big task if you're trying to respect all these important things that they were involved with, and most young people with working lives wouldn't have the time that retired people like us have got, and stuff would just get lost and then it's gone.
And of course, the people at the archive at the university, I mean, there are a lot of feminists, they are supportive of.
Yeah, they're into it.
They're into it, yeah. I mean, that's obviously it's the important thing.
And we've learned a lot from them, haven't we?
Yes, we've learned a lot of new skills.
You preserve things.
Pencils, you have to use pencils.
Oh,
No
yes.
pens.
Yeah.